Welcome everyone to the Pittsburgh Java user group. You can find our information on the meetup and also on the Bird app, whatever it is called, Twitter, X. You can find some information about us over there. We also have our YouTube recordings are up on our channel. We typically upload them like a week or so after the session is over, just based on our time. We are a three-person group over here. So whenever we are able to, we try to upload it. And yeah, with that, I'll hand it off to Daniel. And Daniel, you can take it away. Just a quick thing. Is it okay if we are all on off the video, or do you want us to be on video?
I don't
Either way.
mind.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Either way
Okay.
works.
Okay, cool. Yeah, don't want to be a distraction. Yeah. But Renat, this one you can carry on however you want to do it. So I can be on video. Yeah.
All
Take it
right.
away, Daniel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me today. So, yeah, I don't want to spend time to like a boring slide today, pretty much like a live demo, which is my like some vulnerable nature as a DevRel. So this is all about Quarkus, but I'm not going to showcase any AI talk today. People probably really tired of watching, listening, learning about AI. Doesn't matter Java, JavaScript, Python. So this is all about like a developer productivity. So what is developer productivity? So let's jump into that. So my name is Daniel O. I'm from Red Hat slash IBM because IBM acquired Red Hat. So I've been working for Red Hat more than 10 years for developer advocate, like a cloud native runtime. So I've been working Spring Boot more than a decade. And then I changed a little bit Quarkus because I was a part of the very beginning Quarkus team 6.5 years ago. And then of course, I'm not only saying Quarkus and Java. So I wanted to more bring Java workloads in the production, like a cloud and AI, GitOps and serverless. I've been doing like a Java champion and CNCF ambassador, which allowed me to have a lot of question and a lot of conversation with a lot of great people like you today. And then I'm living in Boston. It's a couple of hours flight. Maybe next time, if I got a chance, I fly into Pittsburgh and then meet and see people in person rather than some like a Zoom meeting at all. And yeah, please contact me if you have any chance to fly in the Boston area. I'm living in downtown. And here's my social handler, Daniel030. There are a lot of Daniel all around the world, very familiar name. So I end up with the number 30. And there are many numbers ahead of me. You can follow me, you can subscribe me, you can fork and steal all of my asset from internet. So 100% free. So my first question, all of you, like, what does your daily work look like? Like, are you already stressful or happy or angry or something other? So a lot of people actually got some challenge in this era, like AI or a new job or security, among others. So basically, the developer, not only Java developer, but any kind of application developer, they do the three things as a daily job, which is writing code and the build application and the running on your local machine, like a Mac OS or Windows or Linux operation. That's it. But in reality, you actually spend much more time with this one, testing application and debugging. So that's why developer already looking for the fantastic tool. Could be some nice and fantastic plugin extension on your IDE, like a VS Code IntelliJ, or some kind of fancy bash script or CLI command line on your local machine just to make it automated and then make it faster to verify your application. So, but still, sometimes you spend like a waste time. Oh, you can find the solution. Go to Stack Overflow or YouTube channel, blog post, or even ask a ChatGPT, Google Gemini, but you probably cannot find the answer in next 20 minutes. So but if you fix the old problem at the moment, you gonna be super happy with that. So developer productivity, I mentioned very early, before this starting to talk. So developer productivity is just make your job faster, easier, and more efficient, just like this guy. So for example, you could just spend 2 days to design, develop, and test, build, run your new business application with Spring Boot or any Java framework. And now if you could do that, exactly same thing in half a day or a couple hours. And what are you gonna do with your spare time? Yeah, I'm not gonna say you're gonna take another job. You'll probably spend your spare time with your lovely family or meet friends or go to fancy restaurant to spend your lovely time. So that is a developer productivity, nothing giant stuff. It's a very normal and make your daily job happier. So, so the question is how to increase my developer productivity with existing my skill set, like a Java kind of thing. So here's a few like a characteristics or functionality or capability, whatever you want to call. So this all kind of stuff eventually increase your developer productivity as your daily job, like a live coding them UI. It's all of like a some Quarkus feature, but also you can actually have this is some of the stuff in your Spring Boot or any other like even like a not Java, like a Python, JavaScript, and so on. So what is the big differentiator between like other program language and framework versus Quarkus? Quarkus provides this whole kind of stuff like a out of the box feature, which means as a developer, you don't need to do anything. Like I need to configure something, change the YAML, XML, or POM XML, or add some compilation code snippet into my classes or a method. Nothing, zero. That is it's like a, just a solution packaging stuff. So that's why Quarkus pretty much interesting stuff here. So let me start live demo and then go through each kind of stuff here. So there are a few ways you can start Quarkus. I heard your group of people pretty much like a Spring people. I love people, Spring. And then so let's go to quarks.io. So this is like a official community webpage, quarks.io, like a Spring.io kind of thing. And then you can find why Quarkus some kind of like some good benefit or some functionality and so on. And then what kind of ecosystem you can find, more than 1,000 ecosystem. Yeah, it's not compared to Spring Boot. Spring Boot was born back in 2013, which is a huge ecosystem. I can't even compare. So some people say, hey, Quarkus was born 6.5 years ago. It's still like a pre-K student. And then like compared to Spring Boot, it's a grown man, like a 30 age. We cannot compare each other. So that's why I say like a different animal, different kind of thing. But it's also kind of tool for Java developer. And then here's a start coding button, or you can go to directly code.quarkus.io, just like a Spring initializer. And then you can also generate and scaffold new project using Maven command line and Gradle command line or Quarkus CLI command line. And whatever you can do, so there are many different ways and just your preferences. So I'm gonna go to the Quarkus.io and then you can see the Quarkus latest version 3.28.4, which he just released a couple hours earlier. So Quarkus minus a version, like a minor version, like a XYZ version, we release every other week, like every 2 weeks on Thursday, something like that. So today we release 3.20.28.4. Yesterday, 28.3. But not huge change because Quarkus try to keep catching up the latest greatest open source project. For example, LangChain4j, MCP, Google Educate, A2A, Asian, or among others. So that's why we keep releasing minor version every other week. And the Quarkus CLI provided like an upgrade to like a Quarkus upgrade command line. It automatically upgrade existing your Quarkus version to the specific version or latest version. So, and there are many extension like more than 1,000, even not compared to Spring Boot ecosystem, but still 1,000 library. You couldn't imagine which library dependency I need to use for my specific application. It's always confused. So that's why people are looking for some sample application like a Spring Packley But Quarkus also provides some like a common use cases here, like a REST API or a REST API with a database or event-driven application or even AI application. So I'm going to go with the very simple REST API application. And then I'm going to change my artifact ID. Let's say the developer, like a Joey. And so basically, Quarkus officially support LTS Java version 21.17. And as you know, Java 25 released a couple weeks ago. And we're gonna show out Java 25 version somewhere here. It could Dropbox box somewhere at some point in the future soon enough. So, but that does not mean you cannot use only 17 and 21. I'm going to use 25 because I'm going to always try to use the latest version. So 21, and I'm going to just generate G file and unzip, just like a Spring initializer. And I'm going to open my project with my ID tool here. And here's my project. So everybody can see you think it's too small or good? Okay, perfect. And then a README file, and then go to source, and then some of this, like some file automatically scaffold, like a simple Java application REST API, and then like some Docker file, which is for JVM native compilation in case you want to packaging container and deploy to Kubernetes. You don't need to do like a Docker build, Docker, create a Docker file, and so on. Automatically it's there, and then test code, and then some of the stuff. So when you go to README file, there are Maven command line because this is a Maven project, because I set Maven project by default. And when I run Quarkus demo, you can actually use the Quarkus CLI with Gradle project, Gradle command line. So Quarkus demo is a first capability to increase developer productivity, which is like a live coding. So live coding means, so it's whatever you change the code, it gonna be automatically recompile, rebuild, and restart your runtime. For example, Spring use embedded Tomcat as a runtime. So Quarkus uses embedded runtime, which is a Netty plus a BERT-X, like a reactive engine, because Quarkus allows the Java developer to develop reactive application and non-reactive application at the same time in the same class in a different method. I have three different methods. One method for reactive application, the second method for like a non-reactive, like a HTTPS request response, and the last method probably running on virtual thread. I can do that in the same class rather than change my whole application structure. So Spring Boot, you need to probably rewrite for Spring Reactive, like based on Webflux, Mono kind of stuff. So Quarkus, you don't need it to, because Quarkus is running on reactive, and then which cover all reactive and non-reactive stuff. So when I run, and then I can go to Quarkus dev UI and landing page, go to localhost 8080, or you can just press W from this terminal, and it automatically opens the landing page. And then here's my one of the endpoint, hello, and you can see that hello from Quarkus REST. And you can go to dev UI. This is one of fantastic, one of like a key feature for developer productivity. So you know what? So I'm older than what I'm looking. So I've been doing Java almost 30 years back in my colleges, and then so I'm still super familiar with the CLI command line, not even Linux and the Mac OS, something like that. But you know what? A lot of people, more and more younger generation people, they actually familiar with the web UI rather than command line. It's a pretty much obvious, explicit way to figure out what's going on here. And then so this is WI, not only visualization, but also whatever you add some library, which he also provides some web tool, for example, Swagger UI for open API implementation and specification. So you need to probably run some specific port and specific UI separately, separate from your JVM to access the Swagger UI or OpenTelemetry, Jaeger, or Prometheus, and so on. But Quarkus Dev UI integrate this single web UI to access that kind of stuff automatically. And then you can also see the what happened the underneath runtime, all dependency, some of the stuff, and like a dev service I'm going to show a little bit later. And then one of the things is a workspace. You can actually visually editing your source code on your file system. You don't, I know, so most people like hardcore Java developer don't use WebUI. They actually using like IDE, VS Code, IntelliJ. But sometimes you want a quick show and a quick change some of stuff in the WebUI rather than like your IDE tool. So let's go into like a little bit quick change. Okay, so I'm gonna change this REST endpoint hello from Quarkus REST and like here's a job group just sync that and then save a file and then back to the REST endpoint. I'm gonna load and now you can see that I just see that at job and then I just change the file and then save a file. But in the meantime, this warning is a little bit Java 25 stuff, so you don't need to care about that. Anyway, so it's in a second, it's already changed because when I go to my source code and then it's already changed my file system here. So that is just like a live coding meaning. So whenever you change the code and invoke the application, like using WebUI and REST API, like a call command, some kind of stuff, it automatically trigger the Quarkus live coding capability, which automatically recompile, restart, and then rebuild kind of all stuff. This is one of the iterative process you need to do more than 10 times every single day whenever you change the code and the test the code, debug code. So, and then one of the interesting parts a lot of people actually ask, like a more senior people and architect people, hey, you need to make sure your application is working before you commit and push. So how do I do that? Oh, we have some practice for that. That is a TDD, test-driven development. And then, oh, yeah, I know, but you know what? I don't have enough time to design and develop my own business application. I don't even enough time to spend my time with the test coding. Don't worry about that. My code already perfect. But sometimes that's not true. And then you probably have a fantastic CI/CD pipeline once you commit and push, and that always on the fly to the production in next 5 minutes. And then you got a very angry call from your platform engineer or DevOps engineer. Hey, Daniel, what did you do? Because your just production just broken after you commit and push. So we have to so what if you could do like a TDD practice easier, more convenient way. So Quarkus provide like a continuous testing, like a follow the test-driven development practice. When I can start, or you can go to like a CLI, there are start button like a R, and then now I got some already error like I failed the test code because when I go to test case automatically generate and it expecting return hello from Quarkus REST, but we just changed the code at job. And then that's why you can also go to WebUI, you can see that, oh, I was expecting here, but you actually return this kind of stuff. That's why your test failed. Even if my application REST API is still working. So this is maybe you can identify your like a human error in advance at the very early time, and it will save a lot of time when you're troubleshooting or some of the unexpected error exception in the production environment. So this is one of the good things. But as a Java developer standpoint, I didn't do anything for setting compilation on Java framework, but also ID tool and my application itself. So I can go to here, uh, like change the add the job, and then automatically save my IntelliJ, and then go to back to here, and then go to green color. So everybody happy right now. Green is happy, not angry. Don't imagine Hulk. Hulk is already green means angry, but we are meaning green is happy. So, but after this is showing, some people are actually asking me, hey Dan, you just change one word in your Java project and you say live coding, like a continuous testing, test driven is always working, but I don't buy in because in my real life, I need to add a new classes, method, change, so many complicated use cases. If I do that, this kind of old stuff still working, and then I would say yes. So let me show you, kind of thing. But I have a limited time today, so let me try to follow the test-driven development with adding new REST API. The first thing is I'm gonna add a new test case here. Let's say hello, like a name endpoint, and then endpoint, like another endpoint pass name, and then let's try to hello Dan, my name, and then back to the test case. And now you can see another test case but fail, which means we have a resource error 404 because you just create a unit test, but you don't have any actual application matching that use case, test case. That's smart. And then go to source directory and then real application, just copy one of them. And then let's try to add the new path, which is a name. And then for the name and then here, then, and then go back to here. Now everybody is happy. And then go to here and then go to new endpoint name. And now you can see hello Dan. I can go to like another terminal window and then like something other command line hello and name. And you can see that hello Dan just like here. So in the meantime, I didn't even try to start my runtime and recompile like a Java C or Maven compile. I never ever do that. But it's automatically restart recompile for me. And I just keep focusing all my time to develop new application. I just make it happen. Without words, I can do that in a couple of seconds. And then, so a lot of people actually, they're wanting a interesting part, go to original application here. So a lot of people try to do some of the practice of 12 factors. So you needed to externalize your configuration outside the code. Because if you put in some hard code in your application, maybe you got some error or you can leverage multiple deployment environment. So let's say try to externalize, externalize this configuration, my name, Daniel. So in order to, I'm going to use a configure property, and then let's say name, so my name, and then my name, and I'm gonna switch my Daniel name. It's my name, that's it. And then back to the test, continue testing. Oh, I got an error because the error log see, oh, my name key, but I don't see the value because I just forgot. Oh yeah, that's great. So go to my property and then my name. So for that, let me show you a very interesting start. If I reload the dev UI, I got some like a the stack trace error, just like a test container. But here's a good thing, you can actually fix the problem here. So we have a my name key, but we don't have a value, just like empty. So my name here, like a Dan, and update it, and then back to here, and then here we go. And then go to reload, and then functionality is still working. So what happened to my file system? Now you can see that it automatically override my file system. And the interesting part, we can go to configuration and then try to find my name. You can actually change it from MUI, my full name, Daniel O, and then back to here, and then I'm going to reload, and now you can see the hello, Daniel O. But one thing I missed it again, back to the continuous testing, I failed because my expectation, hello Dan, not hello Daniel. Oh, so back to here, I'm gonna just delete it and then back, just save automatically. Now go back to the normal and test case all passed. So I just created one API and two API, follow the test-driven development and externalize my specific configuration in my property file, like a Spring, like a config kind of stuff. And then Quarkus adds some like a Kubernetes extension, which allow you can refer your key and value, not your local file system, like application property or YAML file. It's more like a Kubernetes resources, like a Kubernetes config map or a secret kind of thing. Just like you can refer that key value, just like your from local file system. And then one interesting part, what I mentioned, like a reactive application stuff, So when I go to REST API here, endpoint, you can see the hello, hello name, but also there are endpoint score, which is just something interesting part. Here we go. So this is based on reactive engine. Let's say Quarkus running on all applications running on top of the reactive engine, which means how do Quarkus Java framework identify, oh, you are trying to run your specific application as a reactive way or non-reactive way. So Quarkus figured out based on the method return time. Go back to application. So as you can see, return type here is a string. And then it's a more primitive return type like a string, array, or list kind of thing. Oh, you are using non-reactive application. This is not like a stream type, like a Spring mono flux kind of thing. And then if you return like a more streaming type in Quarkus based on small I project and reactor project, which is uni multi. Uni is a one event. Multi is a streaming event, just like mono and flux. And then with that, Quarkus automatically identify this method like a reactive application. But also you can actually more explicitly declare your method, which is Quarkus declarative API, just like annotation. So because when I go back to this scoreboard, you can do the right way to writing method, and then you can use writing write resources, but you got to something wrong to execute your method because this is the reactive stuff. But Quarkus imagined that, oh, I imagine you're gonna run this method as a reactive application, like a more high concurrency, but and then it turns out you actually run non-reactive application. So just to fix the problem, you can change the string type to like a uni multi, or you can actually put on the more declarative API, which is a non-blocking. So non-blocking is like a more reactive way, and blocking is a non-reactive way. So I'm gonna just add to non-blocking and then go back to here. And then now you can see you're really good to go for reactive application. But when I test my application, just a feature and functionality, I can still access the endpoint and the get return code as I expected. But when you deploy this application container or not container virtual machine, whatever you want, and then in reality with some high traffic workload in production, you probably hit some performance issue in the end because you want to develop reactive application for high concurrency, implement like a continuation or event loop, something like that. But with some of the like workloads, and then your application pretty much low performance with this kind of potential issue. If you identify some of the issue in advance ahead of time, that'd be perfect. But you don't need to like use some separate tool, additional external tool to do that. Okay, I just want to stop the Quarkus mode and then just try to build application like using Maven build or Quarkus. Quarkus also gives some like a short command line. Quarkus build is exactly same thing. The Maven kind of thing here, Maven package, exactly same thing. And then just testing everything's good. And then I'm gonna run like a Java command line, Java file, and the Quarkus is running. So one different thing is like a Spring Boot. If you want to ask, Spring Boot mainly generate Uber jar or AKA the fat jar right under target directory. And the Quarkus actually generate that jar more one level layer, like under the Quarkus app and the Quarkus run jar. And then we're not going to say this jar file is a Uber or a fat jar. It's more like a thin jar because the Quarkus Java framework rewrite the class loader and then make it smaller and faster jar file. And anyway, so we could actually set up like a compilation, like a compile jar type equal like a legacy jar or a fat jar, and then it generate that jar file right under target directory, just like a Spring Boot. So here's my Mac OS activity monitor, And then when I type in the running memory here, and then like a running Java, I already have one Java. So let's highlight it and then just make a difference between new one. And then when I run new Java, and then you can see that, just remember this number, the 270 millisecond, like a rest, even less than half a second at the startup. And then go here, now I have a new Java JVM, 101 megabyte for like a memory purpose. It's a super small thing. And then just try to invoke endpoint a few times, and then looking at them from like a 5, from 101 to 106, like a 5 will increase your memory footprint with some functionality test. And then if I stopped it, and then try to native compilation here. Like let's try to using this time the Maven package -d, like a native, just like a Spring native. So the big difference thing is Quarkus design and consider all Java recollection at the very beginning. So whenever you use Quarkus ecosystem and dependencies, it's 100% working for native compilation. So don't worry about that, which library, of course, technically you can add a Spring library into Quarkus project or some third-party library into Quarkus project. That's true, but you can be sure that third-party library always working for native build. So when I just spend like less than 30 seconds to native build, interesting number here, you need to have a lot of memory rather than CPU. CPU load is just 8.58, but you have used like a 2.5 memory for that. So which means as a normal developer, you don't need to build native compilation every single time. Maybe just work for like a push and commit, specific use case like a high scalability on Kubernetes or a serverless application rather than general application. So when I reach the target, and then you can see here is a runnable executable file, no need a JVM anymore, like a GraalVM kind of thing, and a 45 megabyte. So when I do the same to REST API with Spring, latest version 3.x, and then it's more than 100 megabyte. But you say, oh, 45, 100, it doesn't matter, not a big deal on my, because of my desktop, it's a 2 terabyte hard disk. It's 4,500, it doesn't matter. But you're a platform engineer, you're a DevOps engineer, pretty much care about that. Just imagine that they not going to handle just one single Java application, maybe 100,000 Java application as a container or whatever they are packaging type. And it's all about money, all about like a networking, storage, and among others. That all about budget and cost stuff. So let me try to run it. Just run directory right away. Now you can see that it's a 27 millisecond. So remember that the previous jar file, like a thin jar, almost 270 millisecond. It's a 10 times faster than startup time. So that's super fast. And back to the activity monitor. Let's try to find a developer. Here we go. It's 8.4 megabyte. The previously 101 is let's say like 11 times, 12 times less memory footprint. Again, this is a not huge problem in the local environment, so it doesn't matter, less than 1 gig. But when you deploy this application production, gonna be issue. So smaller, faster, always better. So, and then traditionally, that kind of stuff all about like a responsibility by operation team. And now more and more like some performance tuning and performance consideration shift to left, which is the developer side, and then architecture as well. So I'm going to try to call endpoint a few times, one more time, and then you're going to change the memory spike of 8 to 10, still 2 megabytes spike up. So it's pretty much a fast native compilation kind of thing. So now I'm going to try to add some more demo stuff. But for that, any questions so far? Is it good or okay? Not too fast? Okay, fantastic. So this is a small, like a very simple hello world example. Even if I show continue testing or someone else here, when I go to UI and I show you dev UI, continue testing, and then some configuration and nav compilation and Quarkus CLI as well. And then now I'm going to show you some more like a dev service here. So let's say most common use case when develop application microservices, which is probably connect to like a data store, like an Oracle database or a PostgreSQL, whatever you use some database. All enterprise company, they has own database. And then even microservices, when microservice concept was born, and then people saying, oh, microservices stateless application doesn't need to any like a database. But it's not true because when you develop microservices, you still need to like a small like a memory store or a vector store or in-memory data grid or whatever you call that. Not 100% stateless application. So I'm gonna go to just run the Quarkus dev again using the Quarkus dev this time. And now I'm gonna implement like a JPA, like a Java Persist API kind of thing. And Spring JPA is the way to implement the like a data transaction. And Quarkus actually uh, pick up something different way, like using Hibernate ORM, like SQL mapping, but also integrate Hibernate ORM with the Panache. Because whenever you develop like data transition business logic, you probably do some mandatory step, like creating DTO, DAO, or some like a SQL file and so on. That is all required job. And then back to the primary goal of Quarkus, so we're gonna get rid of some manual and mandatory job from developer. That is we saying developer productivity. So how do we get rid of that mandatory stuff for database implementation? So that's why Quarkus picked that up, Hibernate, ORM, and Panache. So let me try to add that the library, which is like a JDBC PostgreSQL. I'm going to use JDBC PostgreSQL and Hibernate ORM Panache, and I'm going to use like a REST Jackson, which is a more, I'm going to sending and return like a JSON format. And then back to my application, and then it already start. So let me try to just stop again. And then I'm using the Podman, my container runtime. Probably you can use a Podman or Docker, whatever you want. And then I don't have any running container process right now. So when I run Quarkstack, and I already add that thing, and it automatically start container image based on test container. So when I run Podman process again, you can see that PostgreSQL 17. But I don't see, I didn't any source code snippet, or configuration of my application property or YAML file about test container. So Quarkus say dev services, which is based on test container, but get rid of all configuration and manual stuff from developers job. So, however, when I go to dev UI again, here we go. And then go to dev service. Now you can see that. So I have one dev service with the database. And then here is just some mandatory configuration like a JDBC URL and a password username. You don't even memorize all key and value and go back to documentation. If you want to change it like a username, just copy and then back to your application property and print here and change the username like a Daniel. So that's make your productivity increase. And then, but this is all your local environment. So when you deploy this application, and you obviously explicitly set this compilation on your here. But so here's a Quarkus actually provide unified compilation. So if you say this kind of stuff, this compilation working for your own environment, Quarkus demo, when you're testing application like a Maven test or Maven packaging. But if you want to this compilation only for production, not my local, and then you can just print the prefix like a prod. That's it. And then when you run this application, Quarkus dev mode is not gonna pick this up at all. Only pick this up when you package the application like a Maven package. And then there are a few things like a predefined dev, and you can actually dev, sorry about that. And then prefix dev, prefix product, and prefix also a dev, and also test. So starting with the prefix test is only pick that up when you testing application like a Maven test command line. And then dev is a Quarkus dev, and the production is like a packaging app. So you don't need to maintain separate file for multi-targeting environment. That is one thing very simple. And also you can actually create your own like a prefix for like a my own environment kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make it clear, make it simple, my local. And let's try to add a few like a entity class for that one. In the meantime, my Quarkus demo is still running. And then let's try to add a new like a Java file, like a, let's say person. I'm gonna just Java bean make an entity, and I'm gonna extend like a panache entity, because the panache entity extend the panache entity base, and it already define all fundamental operation for your data transaction, like how to delete data, how to persist data, and how to retrieve data, all kind of things, even getter setter is already there. You can actually override this whole method for your convenience, but most cases you probably don't need anymore. Go back to person class here, and then I need to like a two attribute, let's say name, and what else, like a city. That's it. I just finished my entity class implementation, and back to the, let's try to add some new REST resource to access my database. I'm gonna try to return JSON. And this is not reactive application, like pretty much non-reactive application, like it's a non-reactive database, like just our DBMS, like a PostSQL. And let's say the person, which is a new endpoint, and try to list all person object, like a list all, and then first list all. And here we go. That's it. I just created one REST API to retrieve all data. And now, where is my data? Because the dev service is not creating random generated record for me. It's pretty much empty, but not empty actually. It's actually create a schema, like a table name, match it to your like a Java bean, like a person. It's already created when you start. When you restart, it's gone. You can actually keep it at based on your configuration. But in reality, the Java developer expecting there is a somewhere database already there, and data is already there. I don't need to create the data. Maybe I just insert some testing data only for my application, but I don't want to create the table index or some other relation, which is not my job, it's a DBA job, my common enemy. So hopefully any DBA join this call and they're not gonna watch this video at all. Just joking. Okay, so in order to add some SQL stuff, I'm gonna create a file, let's say insert to SQL file. And then insert into person value index, and my name Dan, and I'm from Boston. And let's try to just a fun stuff, two more, like Jenny, New York City, and Justin, and Bay Area. That's it. So this is one interesting part. So when you create some like a data schema stuff using like a SQL file in a Spring Boot, like a Spring JPA, you're probably familiar with adding like a DDL stuff, that create a table and create the index and alter kind of like a schema thing, but you don't need to do anything at all because Quarkus dev service automatically do that for you. And then back to my terminal, let's try to access to person. Hopefully it works. Oh, I got some error. Oh no, not error. Okay. Okay, this is the beauty of into person value. It looks good. And the person entity city and resources name person list all. Okay. Interesting. Didn't change anything application property here. And person entity and insert person value. Looks good. Weird thing. Oh yeah, I just found that. Not insert. So this is actually keyword. You can actually change you can use any file name for SQL file, and then you can obviously set the key and value which SQL file you're gonna import into your dev service. But if you use some keyword file name, it automatically import it, which is I'm gonna rename import SQL file, not insert. And then I just change the file. Let's try to just call. Here we go. I change the file, but I don't need to restart. It's a change file, adding files, all part of the live coding. Now you can see that the Daniel, number one, Boston, Jenny from New York City, and Justin for like San Francisco. So what about I want to add one more REST API, which is I want to retrieve some specific ID as like a dynamic parameter, like an ID here. And then which is not going to return all person table. It's just a specific person and change it like a find by ID. And I'm going to pass parameter, which is like a request mapping annotation in Spring Boot. And ID. And let's go to, and then find by ID also define panache entity automatically. And that's it. Okay, if I go to number 3, could be pop-up, which is Justin. Now I go to Justin. Number 1 is the Daniel from Boston. So now I just approve myself, live coding, dev service, everything is fine. I just skip the test coding stuff because I don't have enough time today, but every time it's working. And I'm going to add one more thing because everybody care about security. So how to give some authorization, annotation, and authentication to access my API. So with that, you probably thought about OAuth or OpenID Connect. So Quarkus gives some that dev service as well. Not only database like PostSQL, MongoDB, MySQL, even Oracle, IBM HQ, and the Neo4j and NoSQL database, but also many other backend services, even Kubernetes. So if I go to add OpenID Connect and a small line Open API, which allowed me to access Swagger UI directly. And then now I'm gonna see that which dev services actually run right now. Now you can see that here kick log for my single sign-on. And then back to the dev UI, and now you can see that open kick log and then go to admin, and then admin default password, and then actually you can go to dev service. Now you can two dev services. One is a database previously, and the other one PostSQL, and the other one is the OAuth server based on OpenID Connect. And then here we go, and then they will automatically generate a RAM, which is like a Quarkus, and then generate two user. One is Alice, the other one is Bob. So Alice has two role. One is user role, the other is admin role. And then back to the another user Bob. Bob is another two roles, just one role, user role. So based on this test case, let's say So I'm gonna let anybody, random people, access my my name, hello, and just a hello world. But I don't want any random people access the person data. Only admin people actually access the all data, which is admin, and specific data. Okay, I'm gonna just to be generous, I'm gonna just let access this only like a user. So admin people access all REST API. So if I go to once again, hello, just hello, anybody access that? Like a hello, and then name, hello Dan, is anybody can access that? What about the person? You got to submit 401 unauthorized error right now. And then if I go to the specific data, you can also get 401 unauthorized error. So how do you access that data? You probably need to like a access token and request token, bunch of the like a boring job, but not easy. So that's why back to the dev UI. And here is Keycloud provider. And you can see the login, like let's say go to bar, which is only user. And now you can see, you can find access token here. This is just some of the beauty of the dev UI. You don't need to go to some other like a current command with like a freaking parameters. You can actually find, oh, if I go to like a hello and something like a person, if I go to person, and then you gotta see error 403 unauthorized. But go to like a specific number and you gotta authorize, you got a 200. But this is not good for me. I really want the actual return, which is a Swagger UI here. Here automatically integrate that UI. Now it's a familiar Swagger UI. And then go to person and then try it out, execute. I failed because don't have the admin authorization. And then if I go to specific ID, try out, number one, which is Dan. And now I gotta hear Daniel from Boston. So go back to here, and then I just log out, signing out, and then signing in again, like at least, which is admin. And then let's go to Figure UI directly this time, and then go to all data and execute it. And now you can see all data I can retrieve. So this is, I just add a few things like annotation. This is all about the Quarkus way, aka the declarative API. So developer pretty much familiar with like a CDI, like a data dependency injection using annotation. And then the other whole thing taken care of by Java framework, like a Spring Boot and Quarkus. So Quarkus let developer use declarative API based on annotation and compilation as many as possible. So that's we think, and Quarkus people think, oh, this is a way easier and make your code less and then more efficient and clean. And then you spend less time and then use your time, like a spare time with your lovely family. So yeah, I think that's it. There are a lot of more kind of things like a remote development. This is like a, I show the Quarkus demo, and then when I deploy my local application to Kubernetes, and I can actually connect my Quarkus demo into remote Kubernetes container pod. So whatever I change the code, and then Quarkus automatically detect, change the file classes, Java, and property YAML any file, and then sending to the pod directly, and then reload that, just like a live reload in your local machine. But a little bit takes longer. Like I would say, like a half a second on my local and 1 second in the remote Kubernetes. But you don't need to like debugging or troubleshooting in remote Kubernetes. I'm not gonna say you're gonna use this function in your production, you're gonna ruin everything. So probably like a pre-staging or like a test environment in Kubernetes, it's way easier for you to investigate some troubleshooting and error kind of stuff. So one last thing here. So still a lot of people may be interested in Quarkus for specific AI. So Quarkus recently integrate LangChain4j agentic AI. So you can actually develop generative AI and agentic AI using like agents and like a A2A or MCP and among others more fancy agentic. So if you're looking for like a more like agentic story with the Quarkus, yeah, feel free invite me next time. I'm happy to show again. Okay, I'm gonna share this slide deck after the talk with Esteban directly, and then you don't need to memorize all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, and hopefully you enjoy the live demo. And we got
Yeah.
some like a troubleshooting in the meantime, though. But I think that is the beauty of a live demo. I'm not gonna show like a pretty coding video at all. All right, I'm gonna hand it
No.
over back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel. That was a really cool session. I mean, we did, I think, see some of these features back when we had like someone from Quarkus come and present to us. But it has definitely changed even since then, with the number of features
Yeah,
and the admin dashboard or whatever, the dev UI
yeah,
dashboard
dev
was pretty,
UI, yeah,
yeah, the dashboard was really cool. And also like getting Swagger out of the box was
yeah.
really helpful. No, I
Yeah,
think it was a
that's really
great.
good feedback. So when we show up the dev UI, we first of all just showing visualization, and then we're gonna try to add more like a Swagger UI, and then some of the like a dashboard Prometheus or whatever with some kind of dashboard, and then
Yeah.
put into dev UI. You don't need to go some other web browser, some other like a
Mhm.
dashboard at all for a developer standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's definitely, yeah, and you definitely showcase the developer productivity improvements that you get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The number of times you have to do Maven clean, compile, and install has definitely reduced.
Yeah. So hopefully we're gonna meet in other like an in-person event, any Java conference. I'm gonna travel
Yeah,
around the world. Yeah, feel free to chat
hopefully.
to me in
Yeah,
person and say hello. That'd be
will
awesome.
definitely do. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us this evening.
All
Um,
right, and
yeah,
that's
thank
it.
you. Yeah,
Have a good
talk to you
rest of the
later.
day.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Have a
Bye.
good
Thank you,
weekend. Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.